morning, everybody. Today is January 28th. I am excited to be with you. We are preparing and getting our tools ready for the sampler sew along with Rita's Roost, Rowena, Mona DeWitt, and myself, Awkward Quilter Georgia. We are hoping that you will be able to join us whether you're a beginner or a advanced quilter. We have a block for you and we are excited. It was announced several times that the first day of the quilt sew along will be January 8th on Rita's Roost channel. The what we are going to be doing is drawing an advanced block and a basic block so that you have an opportunity to choose a block that you want to sew. If you only like one block, you can make it 20 times. There will be a total of 20 12.5-inch blocks when we're through with the sew along. And the sew along is going to be 20 weeks long. So that will take us to the end of April, possibly May, but it does start on January 8th, and more details will be coming. You will hear about it. We want you to join the sew along. That will be at 7 p.m. Central Time. So 7 p.m. Central Time, starting on January 8th. However, we do need to prepare, and for quilters that have been quilting a while, or we know what to prepare, but we need some basic tools. And so we're going to go over some basic tools today. And I am just going to flip my camera down. Just give me a second. You won't be seeing me. You will be seeing my sewing desk. We do need a cutting mat when we are using a rotary cutter, and that is going to be to protect your surfaces. Now, in a pinch, if you have a wood chopping board, you can use a wood chopping board, but just keep in mind that it will put cuts into that chopping board. So if you're married to that chopping board, if it's the favorite chopping board from your kitchen, you do not want to use that. That would be a no-no. So we have a cutting mat here, and these are some basic tools. We are going to use a rotary cutter. Now, I have a OFA rotary cutter that I normally use. There are many different brands. You purchase the one that you can afford and that works well for you. Do be careful that the blade is sharp when it is extended. The blade is very sharp, very sharp. So whenever you are not cutting, and that means whenever you have completed the cut on your material, you want to pick it up and in this case close it. And that's just to keep you protected, because accidents happen, and we do not want you to be in the emergency room. We want you to be sewing with us. You will also need a ruler. Now, when I first started quilting, I actually used a straight line 12-inch drafting ruler. And at some point, I'm going to show you that very, very first quilt I made almost 12 years ago for my eldest grandson. My daughter's supposed to be sending me a picture. They still have it. And we can dissect that a little in another video. But I have two different rulers here. I have a small 6-inch ultra grid quilt cut ruler, and I think I bought this in a packet from Amazon. When you first start quilting, you just kind of buy what's out there. And this came, I believe there were 5 pieces to it. I don't use it very often. Over the last 3 years, I have moved to the creative grids, but you use what you can afford and what is comfortable for you. Now, the benefit of a clear ruler is that you're going to be able to see your material through it quite well. You'll be able to see it. Not It's not going to be an issue. However, if you this is the first time that you're quilting, you may be uncomfortable where your cuts are. I'm going to show you a tip on this. But this is the Creative Grids. I would suggest if you have to buy any ruler that you purchase a 12.5-inch ruler. And the reason why I say that is that most of the blocks you will ever make will be less than 12.5 inches, and you can get a 1-inch cut all the way up to a 12.5-inch cut. At some point, you are going to want to purchase a longer ruler where we cut yardage. But for today, we're just going to focus on a 12.5. And I will try my best when doing the basic blocks just to use this. Now, I did want to show you a trick, as promised, that some of the blocks are you cut 2.5 inches, 2 inches. If you do not have the Creative Grids actually does have half cut lines, but sometimes you just can't see it. If you're like me and you wear glasses, it may not line up or focus well enough. So what you can do, if you have a Sharpie, you can just mark the line down. And of course, it's going to be straighter, but for the grammar purposes, you can mark a line with down if you're making a whole bunch of 2.5-inch cuts or 3.5-inch cuts. And that way, when you place your fabric under it, you'll be able to see exactly what you need to line up. It's in focus, it's there. And you may think, oh my goodness, she just ruined it. It's a Sharpie. I got a trick. And I'm not going to show the brand, but we all have hand sanitizer around the house and some type of tissue or paper towel. If you put a little bit on the paper towel, wipes right away. And voila, that line is gone, and you don't have to worry about it ruining your ruler. I would test it if you have it on a smaller ruler. Now, I have done it on this Ultra Grid from Amazon, because that yellow I had a hard time seeing when I first started quilting. I really had a hard time seeing through that yellow, which is what made me move to the Creative Grids. Nothing wrong with this ruler here. It's just I was not able to see it. But there you go. It wipes totally clean. So that's my trick on the rulers. So we have our cutting mat, that's always optional. Nothing is set in stone. Quilting is supposed to be fun. You find the way that works for your brain. You find the way that works for you. You do not have to duplicate what anybody else does. They do. But you will need pins, because I pin. And all it is to align some of those corners, especially when you start sewing HSTs or you're trying to get those blocks to align a little better. So you will need some pins. You will also need a pair of snips or scissors. And it's just to cut off some loose thread when we are cutting triangles or making half square triangles. There'll be little dog ears that you want to just trim up. And when you're on your sewing machine, you'll need a pair of scissors to cut that thread. Of course, you'll need your sewing machine. You will need your thread, wound bobbin, and all that. You will also need a seam ripper. This little tool here is a quilter's best friend, and we have all used it multiple times on a block, sometimes never on a block. It depends on the block, how tired we are, and how perfect we want that block to be. Now, if you have a standard sewing kit, you may receive a seam ripper that looks like this, and this is perfectly fine. This will work. So you may see somebody that has something like this or beautiful wooden one. You do not need to go out and run out and get that. You can use what came in your kit. And I believe with my sewing machine as a basic accessory, they actually had a little sewing seam ripper. So if you have that, you can use it in a pinch. You do not have to run out to the store and buy any. Okay. For our sew along, it will be made out of your choice of fabric. This quilt will be for you. So you can choose to use scraps. You can choose to use old shirt here. It's a little more difficult to work with. So we don't want to use that. But so you will need your material. For the basic quilt blocks, I actually have a pack. I do purchase the Lori Holt Sew Sampler block pet quarters that come in. I do purchase them. I have a beautiful packet here. I will be using these for the basic blocks. For the advanced blocks, because I'm going to make two of them, I will be utilizing my scraps, and I have a lot of scraps because I create a lot of scraps. But I will be making my advanced block with scraps. So any type of cotton material that you want to start on, I would suggest that if this is your first time sewing or quilting, that you don't run out to the store and buy a brand name that is $16 a yard, because you will cry if you make mistakes. What you want to do is start small. These blocks will be available for you. It will be part of your toolkit, and you can go back once you have a comfort level, once you've made it through the first quilt with us. You can go back and buy that fabric that you want, and go ahead and make that. Okay, so we have that. I like to have a pencil. I like to have a pencil for marking my pattern. Some patterns are a little bit more detailed, and I like to make little notations for myself, especially when I'm swapping fabric. I like to make a notation that this is the red block. I'm swapping their block color choice for my color choice. You can also take a little clipping of the fabric, stick it somewhere on your pattern, just to help remind you what pattern or what material you're using, what fabric you're using. So I do use a pencil. And then finally, you're going to want something to mark your HSTs. The HSTs, they do require that you make a line through it, draw a line from one corner to the other corner, so that you have a sew line or a guideline to sew on to get that 1/4 inch. Okay. And finally, we have our pattern. Now, for the basic block, it was announced on Rita's live yesterday on the 27th, on December 27th. So you can go back and look at the announcement and even more details there. But she decided that our first block, and I hope you can see this, is going to be the Carrie Nation quilt block. And this is found on the Delaware Quilts. The pattern is found on the Delaware Quilts website. So we will link it for you in the description box, and you can go ahead to the website, download the pattern. This will be for all the patterns or the blocks that we've chosen. You will need to go to the website and download the pattern. You can either print the pattern out, or if you're comfortable just reading the pattern from your iPad, your laptop, your PC, or whatever medium you're using, you can go ahead and do that as well. Okay, so we're doing the Delaware quilt, and this one is called Carrie Nation. Miss Rita has actually renamed it to Carrie with the K because Carrie Leonard joins Rita on most of her lives, and she tries to follow everybody that participates in Rita's live. Okay. For the advanced block, and again, this is optional. The advanced block is the Tree of Life block, and it is pattern, and it is on the Fat Quarter Shop website. This will be linked at the bottom as well. You will need to go to their website and print it off. And while you're there, if you're shopping, if you go to the on sale tab, they have wonderful selections of fabric. It may be a line that is 6 months old, a year old. Fabric is still beautiful. And if you're like us, we may purchase the newest pattern that comes out, and we still have it in our sewing spaces 2 years later. So it does not matter what fabric you're selecting. If it's on sale, there's nothing wrong with buying on sale, and the prices are really good. So go ahead and check out that on sale tab. Okay. So there again, we are back up. Again, we are starting the sew along on January 8th. If you gather all your tools, go ahead and download and print off your pattern that you decided to make, and follow the cutting instructions so you can sew along and be prepared to sew along. Now, not everybody is going to be up on the panel. Don't be afraid. You do not have to get up on the panel. All you have to do is have access to a laptop, your phone, your TV, watch us on the live, start sewing along, following the instructions. There will also be tutorial videos after the block has been sewn together. So there will be things that you can start at your own pace and when you have time. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the chat box, or make a comment below once the video ends. And let's get ready to sew. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.